Hi everyone. How are you?
Hi.
Good,
Good
good.
to see everyone.
And let me text Elaine and let her know she's got to unmute herself.
There we go.
Can you hear us, Elaine?
Yeah, I can now.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Are you going incognito today?
Yes.
We want to see you, but no, I'm not gonna make you uncomfortable. Okay, let's see. I'm most excited about Les Hamasaki. He said he's gonna join. He's a superstar. That's and he said he's gonna join it. Let's see, let me dismiss this. Okay, so I'm dismissing that, and so let's see. Let me get back here. Clarissa Berry, so that should be as in William Berry. Let me see. Okay. Lynette, did you get an email from me with the
I did.
Did you
Yeah, I
open
just
it?
got it. I was able to open it, yes.
Okay. Call me last minute, Mikey. So if you could open it, do I have your permission to send that to all of the board members? It's the bank statements.
Right.
Yeah, please do.
Hello, everyone.
Captain Barry, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Still here.
There you go. That's a nice background you got there.
Dreaming. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Whew.
Well, so everybody's doing well?
No complaints, just a lot of work, trying to keep up with Clarissa and moms, But that's about it. Everything else is cool.
And what does it
Where
say?
you at?
I'm in Florida.
Okay.
I can't go about 3 blocks without seeing golf courses. It's a 55 plus community I live in, but it's all about golf. And for those folks that golf, I don't even golf.
Yeah, well, it's one of them things.
Yeah. So
It's addictive once you start, but
really? Okay.
We haven't been able to do it until like last weekend. They opened up the courses for us.
Okay.
So,
Wow. Okay, that's good. So let's see. Okay, so we only have 40 minutes. Is that correct, Kiana?
Correct, yes. But if we go over, I can just schedule another one real quick.
Okay. It's up to the group if you want to wait for a couple of more people, or we could start. It's totally up to you all.
Do we have quorum?
Yes, according to the bylaws, if we have 3 or more, that represents a quorum. So we're official.
I think we're okay, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay, to wait or to start?
Oh, to start, if we have
Yeah, go
quorum,
for it.
I'm okay with it. I don't know how the others feel.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay too.
Okay, all right. Well then, I trust you all give me permission to chair this meeting.
Yes.
that's for sure.
Okay, so roll call. Is William Berry here?
Yes.
Is Lynette Richardson here?
Present.
Is Kiana Baradaran here?
Yes.
LeGrand Clegg is not here. He said he's going to try to make the meeting. Les Hamasaki's not here. He said he's going to try to make the meeting. Marietta Marks is not here. Is Elaine Moore here?
Yes.
Okay, Faye Moore. I haven't talked to her, and James Davis is here. Okay, so we are definitely having a quorum. Item number 2, approval for last board meeting notes. Did everyone have a chance to see the notes from the last board meeting?
Yeah, I did. It looked all right.
Okay.
So-
Any recommended changes? Edits? Is it okay?
Nope.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the last board meeting?
I move that we approve the minutes from the last board meeting.
All right, that's William Berry. Is there a second?
Lynette seconds.
Okay, so Lynette, Rich is second. All those that are in favor of approving the minutes from last board meeting, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, so the meeting minutes from the last meeting in December of 2019 has just been approved. The third item on our agenda is the financial report. And I just emailed the documents from the NICE checking account to Lynette, our treasurer, minutes ago. So I'm not going to ask her to make a report. I just got into okay, so NICE banks at City National Bank in Beverly Hills. Our CPA, Andy Ozorovich, set us up in there. And the current, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send the bank statements to everybody. Do I have your permission, Treasurer Lynette, to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then everybody can look at the bank statements and hopefully say, dang, that's confusing. But basically, basically there's, we're banking online, which is great. And I just got all the passwords and whatnot squared away yesterday. So I'm gonna share that with Lynette, our treasurer, so she'll have access to all the banking records. So it won't be a James Davis going solo event. It looked like there were, the only check I could identify other than my deposit into the account was a check for $125 made in December. Does that come from anybody that's on the phone right now? Okay.
I
Okay.
sent some money, but I don't remember how much.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll get that all worked out. The balance in our account is, I think it's 4,000, 5,000, which partially reflects the dollars from the NICE account from my consulting work in San Francisco. But we're in the black. I'll send everybody the banking statement so you can see the monthly deposits. And I think only 3 checks have been written since December. And by the next board meeting, we'll be a lot more organized in this account on this issue. Are there any questions? Okay, all right. Uh-oh, look like Mr. Les Hamasaki is on the scene. Les is a technical genius, so I'm sure he'll figure it out. He's muted himself, so let me let him know that he's muted himself. And he's muted his, please unmute yourself. Share your video, please. When you hear from Les, you'll see why I'm so excited about him. Okay, so, nope, being that there's no questions about the financial report, we will move to item number 4 on the agenda, which is the last board meeting. Okay, so we covered that with the approval. Okay, so the next one really is number 5, report to the board by James Davis. Did everyone see the report that I put together, the update report? Okay. Are there any questions about, Les, can you hear us?
I think so, yeah.
Great.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. Would you be willing to share your handsome face with us in video?
I'm not too sure. I'm pressing some buttons, that's about it.
The lower left-hand corner of your screen, there's a video icon. And lower left-hand corner, right. And I'm sorry, lower left-hand corner of your screen. And there you are. Now, the only thing
There's a
Okay.
doggy there, huh? I guess that's just
Great shot of your couch and your dog. If you're able to get your face on the computer screen, it would be great for you to
Oh,
see.
it's the other computer. Yeah.
Just up a little bit more. Uh-oh, somebody's trying to go up here.
Yeah.
There he is. Oh, man, you look good. This is Les Hamasaki, fellow board members. Up a little bit more, Les, please. You look good, man. I just got to tell you, you
There
look
we
good.
go.
Oh, okay. How are you?
Incredible. He's the smartest urban planner I've ever met. And Les, would you mind sharing with the board how old you are, how young you are?
I'm 81 years old.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He doesn't look 81.
Yeah,
That's right.
not at all.
That's what I'm talking about. Les is incredible. Okay, well, thank you, Les, for joining us. We're going to finish the other items on our agenda, and then we're going to turn it over for you to explain the Spirit Walk project, which I think that once the other board members hear about it, they'll be as excited as I am. Okay, were there any questions on item number 5, report the board update that I put together?
Nope.
Okay, basically what that update did is talk about the fact that NICE is no longer doing consulting work in San Francisco. For health reasons, I had to leave there. It's a great opportunity for the NICE Spirit Walk there. I'm currently in Florida working with stakeholders in Southeast United States. We're pushing the Spirit Walk project here in this area. Those were the major issues on the update.
James,
Yes.
what made it so unhealthy?
One was the temperature. It was so cold in San Francisco. It was just not, my thin blood couldn't handle it. I was doing consulting work for this agency that really didn't want to change. I've done quite a bit of housing development work, affordable housing development. I would make suggestions to them and they were not willing to take the suggestion. So to me, I didn't see that it was going to be a successful engagement.
Okay.
And the environment just wasn't conducive for me doing construction management consulting. The good news is I left under good pretenses. No bridges were blown up or burned. And there's still an opportunity for NICE to do some community development, and particularly the Spirit Walk project that Les has conceived in San Francisco. So it was a good 3 months when I was there. And plus I caught a real bad cold in January, and my soul told me, James, get out of here. So I
Okay.
came back to the Southeast. Did that answer your questions, board
Yes,
member
it did.
Moore? Okay. Alrighty then, and thanks for that question too, because I'm sure that other folks wanted to know why you ain't there, man. Okay, so the next issue on the agenda is the approval of a contract with Sarah Lope and Leon Youngblood. And basically, these are two young people who have the spirit of NICE. Sarah Lope is a design engineer. She works for Meta in San Francisco. She is a superstar in terms of being a Latina who understands spiritual community building, and we want to retain her to do some work. And I signed a contract with her to do some consulting work and paid her $199. And that's all the money we owe her to date. I don't expect to be paying her anymore, but because it came out of the NICE funding, I needed the board to approve that contract and that expense. We have the dollars in the account, so there's no financial liability to the board. Are there any questions about that particular contract and execution? Activity? That's the word. Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve the contract with Sarah Lopez?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The contract, he's consulting with the housing project, you said? You have to excuse my voice. I have my vocal cords that have been damaged.
Okay. Well, you sound fine. You sound
Okay.
fine.
Because sometimes it'll go completely out. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel like talking, you can chat if you feel comfortable chatting. So your question was,
about
okay, she's
the
consulting
contract.
she's consulting with NICE. So it's not place-based oriented. In other words, when we're ready to do some economic development work in South Carolina or Florida or San Francisco or Seattle, she would be available for consulting work. So her contract's with NICE, not with any particular entity.
Okay, what are her credentials?
I can send you her resume. She was born in Spain, and she and her husband moved to the United States about 5 years ago. I think she's in her early 30s, full of energy. She gets it in terms of spiritual community development. She grew up like we did in a healthy home. She plays the piano. She almost plays the saxophone. She graduated, got her master's degree from New Design School in San Diego. And she did some consulting work for a children's educational facility in New York. So she's really of the same mindset as we are. She and her husband recently relocated to Salt Lake City. So she's doing remote construction consultation and design work for Meta in San Francisco from a desktop perspective. But she's got a lot of intelligence. Matter of fact, she reminds me of NICE board member Kiana Baradaran in terms of just being super smart, really wanting to make a difference. As a matter of fact, her thesis, Sarah's thesis was on homelessness. And I'm gonna ask her if I can share that with the board. But she's type of person who I hope will be part of the NICE board for the next 20 years.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve Sarah's contract with NICE?
I move that we accept the contract.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I second it. This is Kiana.
Okay, thank you. Second. All those that agree to accept the motion to accept the contract for Sarah Lopez, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, beautiful. I'm going to request that we table the discussion about the contract for Leon Youngblood. Who he is a young person. He must be in his early 30s. He does political advocacy. I've known him since he was in the middle school. So that would be quite a few years ago. And he knows Compton Mayor Aja Brown. And I feel Leon will be a great person to be an advocate for NICE, for the Compton mayor to adopt the Spirit Walk project. But I'd like to table that discussion until you hear from Les Hamasaki about the Spirit Walk, and Les is going to share with you how he conceived of this project, and then you'll have a better appreciation for our discussion about Leon Youngblood to be held at a future date. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, without further ado, I'm going to introduce Mr. Les Hamasaki, who's nice enough to be a board member of NICE. I met Les probably about 10 years ago. He's a visionary planner, meaning he can see how society has evolved from a land use perspective, which us planners are really into. And he worked with Tom Bradley. Les is probably the smartest person who I know who understands how new technology, I'm serious, man, how new technology is impacting the way we live now. And Les has a grasp on green technology for the future. Les was born in Hawaii, and he's like a brother from another mother because he understands the frustration that Black folks and other oppressed people of color have endured, but Les is able to blend in solutions with our current situation. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Les to share with the board members how the Spirit Walk project, how he conceived it, and anything else, Les, that you think that our esteemed board members would appreciate hearing.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time. A lot of things that you said about me can be overblown a little bit, and I like from a little town in Hawaii, on the big island of Hawaii, came to Los Angeles after graduating in '57, and didn't have a clue in terms of what I wanted to be, except I thought I'd be a postman because I can, get a job here. So that was something that happened, but I had a chance to go to UCLA and Cal Poly and places like that. And one of my recommendation, my mother was living here many years ago. She said, "You gotta get a job with the city because they can't fire you, because you're Japanese American." And so I said, okay, I'll become a city, working for the city and and eventually became a city planner. That was the idea. And so that created an opportunity for me to really became to be aware of the politics. And I was involved with Tom Bradley at that time. So that was a critical time in terms of the Los Angeles, because when Mayor Tom Bradley became the mayor at that time, before it was sort of organized and controlled by the white folks, Yordi and so forth. And so in '73, for 20 years, he created a multicultural city, and that's the largest today, the largest city in the city in the United States. So it was really important in terms of what Tom Bradley was about. But my involvement with the at least the African Americans was my involvement with many years ago, April 9th, 1906, a son of slaves, blind in one eye, created a major center for a historical center for the Pentecostal, where today Pastor William Seymour created this the Pentecostal movement that's over 600 million followers throughout the world. And so when you look at the history, the unique thing about it is that it was a multicultural, really congregation that Pastor William Seymour started. And when you look at the history of America, that was the beginning, as I saw the importance in terms of what Pastor William Seymour did in terms of what the future of America would be. And when you think about 1906, it was only about 40 some odd days after the Emancipation Proclamation that, you know, that was freeing the Africans at that time. And so that's the critical time that I saw. And my involvement with the Azusa Street mission was in Little Tokyo, which was a place that was very important to me, was a place that I was able to be part of a movement to develop the plaza, where we thought eventually it was the birthplace of Pastor William Seymour, and it was owned by Biddy Mason at that time. And so it was an African-American community at that time in Los Angeles. So this is something that was very, very significant. So my involvement with them was, my mother was involved, had a problem with cancer, and she went to Patrick, I forgot her name, Captain Coleman at that time in Los Angeles to get healing. And so this is somehow I was involved with the Pentecostal at that time through my mother, but I really didn't know anything about it at that period of time. So, but today we were trying to create a historical place for Pastor William Seymour did on Azusa Street. And so that was sort of my involvement of the African Americans. And at that time, the Japanese in 1906 was only a handful of people, about probably about 2,000 population or less at that time. And they were living with the blacks at that time because they were the only other you know, minorities that were able to accommodate them. And so this is something that I felt that it was very important that when you look at the Japanese in America, that was a very significant time of life at that point. But the important thing about the Pentecostals at that time was 8 days after the founding of the Pentecostal movement in Azusa Street, there was a major earthquake in San Francisco that destroyed San Francisco. Half of the community was destroyed. About 3,000 people died, and so at that point, it was a sort of a point in time that was a spiritual awakening in terms of the awareness of you know, the whole idea of God and what's happening. Because when you look at San Francisco as I see it, at that period of time, it was wine, women, children, you know, all that stuff that you can think of, because it was a place where the people that came in and were looking for gold, and you know, the gold rush was there, and that was a center of all these men coming in, rebuilding the area from Asia and so forth. And so you have all these single men really basically involved with women, wine, sex, you can imagine. So when you think about that period of time, and then you had that whole destruction of San Francisco, there were about 2,000 to 3,000 Japanese. There were about 5,000 people of Japanese ancestry. They moved down to Los Angeles, right next to Alameda Street, where was the African American was located. So that was a very important time in terms of the relationship of the African Americans and the Japanese at that time. And then eventually, when you had the Second World War, there was an internment camp where 130,000 people were interned of Japanese ancestry throughout the the country, the African Americans came back and created the Bronzeville period at that time. That was very, very interesting. So it was something that I felt that from the history of the relationship of the Japanese Americans and the African Americans, there was a lot of synergy at the time of the history. And so when you look at what Tom Bradley did, and since I was involved with the administration of Tom Bradley, I was started the Affirmative Action Association for the Asian American group, along with trying to get the blacks to have an affirmative action, as well as the Hispanics. So I was sort of one of the leaders to assure that there's an equal opportunity for minorities to become part of the economic life of the city. And so when you look at what happened when we were moving for the affirmative action at that period of time in the 70s, we got all of these people coming in. When you look at what the minorities, like the African American, went into the public service, like the post office and all this kind of thing. All of those things were very, very important at that period of time. And so when you look at what's happening today and before the rise of the, you know, the really looked at the rise of the problem that we had. It was basically, this is something that we felt was very important, that we had opportunities in the public service. So that was very, very important. And so that was involved with the, one of the things that we talked about is the spirit walk. And this is something that I felt that was very, very important in terms of the city and looking at at least the whole future of America as a multicultural society. The creation of what Pastor William Seymour did in creating a multicultural congregation. Mayor Bradley created a multicultural city, and being from Hawaii, you know, Obama created a multicultural nation. Those are kind of the connection that I look at in terms of the future. And looking at the African Americans in terms of the spirit walk thing of legends and their legacy, I look at it as an important part of the accomplishment of 400 years of since slavery, in terms of the accomplishment, in terms of the, and I look at it in terms of how the African Americans have become, you know, the leaders in all of these areas, from not only, you know, the kind of, you know, leadership in terms of athletics, but in leaders in government, leaders in all of these things. And so I look at the accomplishment, looking at the struggle that they had to become part of the American society and came to the top of their profession is incredible. And so when the person, you know, generally you can look at the spirit walk kind of thing, but all of these people that were tremendous accomplishment in terms of overcoming all of those kinds of things that they had to overcome through their lives. So that was something that I felt that people really don't understand in terms of, they hear the athletes about it, you know, but the media now in terms of the actors are becoming very, very important in terms of changing, because, you know, in the media, at least the actors at that period of time had a lot of, I guess, importance in terms of who the African Americans or the blacks were about and so forth. And now it's changing very rapidly. So there's a change that this at least from my side, that somehow that legacy has to be presented in a very important collection of people that have achieved within their lifetime. So that was some of the idea behind Spirit Walk. But it started with the Spirit Walk of Pastor William Seymour that was funded by the Tom Bradley Legacy Foundation, which I was involved with at that period of time. So,
Les, can I interrupt you for just a minute?
sure.
Okay, because you're covering, this is great. This is exactly what I asked you to do in terms of share with the board. I wanted to interrupt you just for a minute to bring it into a context of how the NICE board members are part of your vision. And if you will indulge me, I'm going to back up just a little bit to cover a couple of points that may have gone by folks, which is the connection between Pastor William Seymour, who's the founder of the Pentecostal religion, which is, did you say it's the second largest religion in the world? The Pentecostal?
Yes, after the Catholics have about 1.3 billion, and the Pentecostal have 200 million in
So
one century.
So a religion that has 400 million congregants.
Right now, they're saying about 800 million. When we started, it was about 400 million. But when you look at what the Catholics had done for, 2 centuries of 1.3 billion, it's incredible. Yeah, it's spreading around very quickly.
And what I want to do, Les, because see, you and I, we've discussed the significance of this from a spiritual community building perspective. And I want to make sure that we go slow so the other board members understand that this Spirit Walk project basically is reframing how moral leadership, political leadership, introducing faith-based practices and combining that with governance. That's what Mayor Tom Bradley did. He used all the tools at his disposal, and he approached it from a intellectual, heartfelt perspective. And when we're talking about spiritual community building, and we're talking about bringing to economic development a moral leadership platform, that right now is needed in the world. And the way that we're approaching this, Les also introduced me to the EDA, which stands for Economic Development Administration. There's opportunities for NICE to bring EDA dollars to different governments, working through their mayor's office, working through their governor's office. It's a way to create a platform to empower people to build a community based on love, harmony, and actually activate their moral compass, if you will, to do good. And Les also has very smartly brought up how William Seymour, a Black man who was blind in one eye in Los Angeles, created this huge global religion. Les has also talked about the Tom Bradley Legacy Foundation that's there to provide, that's actually looking for leadership from folks like us in Los Angeles at UCLA. Les has connected that to what Barack Obama did as a successful president, bringing unity in the world. So basically, this is an opportunity to create a strong thematic community building platform for the nonprofit NICE. Now, would you agree with those assumptions I've stated, Les?
Oh, yes, I agree. Good.
And from the board members, because I don't want to prevent you from having any input, just in terms of what you've heard from Les thus far, do you have any questions in terms of how this can apply to the work that we're doing right now? Anybody?
I just wanted to ask you about this, the diagrams I saw that you sent out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess I didn't really understand what I was looking at with the spirit walk thing. Like when you had the diagrams with the, it looked like a cul-de-sac. And I don't know if that's what it was. And then you had like a price, 24,000 and in different places. And it had something there about 55 plus. Is that anything to do with the spirit walk, or am I mixing this up with something else you're working on?
55 plus. The 55 plus, okay, that was a project in South Carolina that is a housing development.
Okay, so I'm okay, so I'm on something else.
Well, that's a great question. That's a great question because one, it shows that you're a critical thinker. And the experience that I've seen, and let's use the San Francisco experience, folks that want to do real estate development, or even let's talk about Compton and how we worked our behinds off to convert that National Guard facility into something that was going to benefit the whole community. Unless folks can see a short-term benefit where they can put some money in their pocket, it's hard to get individuals to stop and think, how does my religion, how does my morals, do I even have any morals? How I was built or raised by my family, how does that relate to what we're doing in our community? And the Spirit Walk, as Les has so wisely created, talks about great leaders who brought to their community development activities and strategies a moral compass. So yes, it absolutely does impact the 3 projects that I talked about in the NICE update, because San Francisco is a great example. Most of the folks I was working with were in their 20s and 30s. They had no understanding of why we're building affordable housing. What's the impact on the homeless population? How do we teach young folks morals and ethics and get them to be an upstanding young person where they might get recommended to be in the Air Force Academy, like you, William, or like Kiana, being raised in a different, a country that has a Persian culture that's so rich with humanitarian philosophies that even a great military leader, Cyrus the Great, is still studied. I mean, all the board members at NICE are coming from a very rich cultural perspective. And Lynette, her desire to have a charter school and the different activities she's involved with, all the board members of NICE are bringing a very powerful, strong cultural philosophy with them. And it's my thinking that when we get the board members to share more of their background. Elaine Moore is a very intelligent, thoughtful, community sensitive stakeholder. So we're all bringing a lot to the table, and I believe not only do we have the ability to support the Spirit Walk, but explain how it can flourish from the individual board members' vision as opposed to only James Davis trying to bring it together. Is that explanation helpful, William?
Well, I guess I need to hear more about the spirit walk thing, because I'm looking at, I don't know, I pictured something different. So spirit walk, this is gonna something that's trying to take place in Los Angeles?
It's gonna, okay, the Spirit Walk project, the way Les designed it initially is coming through the Tom Bradley Legacy Foundation. And the reason that the Tom Bradley Legacy Foundation is important is because Tom Bradley was the only mayor to be elected 4 terms in Los Angeles, first Black man, and he brought together the different cultures, you know, West Side, South Side. So he was way ahead of his time. And what we're suggesting is that this Spirit Walk methodology can work in any city. Just like we're working on a Spirit Walk project for San Francisco to utilize some of the connections that we made in San Francisco while I was up there. And most mayors, especially right now, being that we're in the midst of this pandemic, they're looking for some ways to bring people together, to bring them together, operating from a love perspective rather than fear. And that's, for a lot of people, that's so esoteric, they can't wrap their brain around it. But what Les has done with the PowerPoint presentation that he put together, he showed different African-American leaders, what they brought to the table. William Seymour is one of the most powerful ones, but I think he's got about 20 different leaders that he highlights in his PowerPoint presentation. And what we're suggesting to leadership, and in the case of Compton, Mayor Aja Brown, for her to adopt the Spirit Walk community building philosophy is going to enable her to bring different warring factions of the city together to work on one goal, which is let's advance economic development programs that are based on love rather than fear. And the Spirit Walk project provides a template to show how it has worked in the past. Is that helping to make it clear?
I guess I needed to hear more about like the template you're talking about.
Okay. Well, Les, in terms of my explanation of what I'm doing right now is contextualizing your philosophy of the Spirit Walk project in terms of why a government leader would want that Spirit Walk type of model in their city. Is there anything that you can do to make my explanation more clear?
Well, I thought, you know, it's something that I had an image of an artist that can, you know, create that environment where we can really, you've seen obviously statues and all these monuments and so forth. This would be really where you might have Louis Armstrong as part of the Spirit Walk. You know, really, it could be a virtual reality kind of or augmented reality program that you can really experience that legacy of that people that have achieved within their society, and so it was just a collection of things that I had. You know, I have no ideas in terms of some of the things that I have, but I just picked up some individuals that people are aware of. But somebody had to really come up and take advantage of the opportunity for the African American legacy, and that was the idea. So there was a whole bunch of things that I talked about. Yeah, that's sort of the thing. These are sculptural things that were maybe envisioned, you know, within a collection, but in one area, like the Museum of African Americans in downtown in America in Los Angeles, where you can really feel those people that were have achieved in all of those things within the community. You know, I kind of made some of these things up, and but those are the idea that someone will it will be an educational program for the general community to know the achievement of these people, and I call it, you know, the uh, I did all some of these things that I talked about was, you know, could be an educational program for people, at least from my side in Los Angeles, where you know, people are coming from all over the world, can really get a grasp in terms of the achievement of um, you know, the African Americans that have achieved within our society over 400 years of slavery kind of thing. So that was sort of the lesson learned education. And when you have the virtual reality or augmented reality kind of thing, it becomes very important to give you an idea of how the this whole group evolved in 400 you know, 400 years of accomplishment and and all those kinds of things. So that's I think when you look at the media kind of things, the technology that's happening today is really an educational kind of program. And when you at least you have the legends there that have achieved, and they can even speak. You know, I mean, you can have sounds and so forth. This makes a very interesting collection of, you know, it's not, it's like a museum collection, but it's alive. You know, it speaks and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, to take all of the technology together, uh, you can educate a lot of people in terms of the achievement. And I look at the African Americans are a real important model in terms of how they have achieved, you know. So that was sort of the idea. But, I just put a collection. I mean, you know, it didn't have any, uh, you know, somebody has to figure it out, not me. I just put up pictures that I thought it would be appropriate. That's
Well,
all.
you came up with a great concept. William, did you have a question? Another question?
No, I understand better now. You know,
Okay.
you know, this is an actual spirit walk with information.
Yes. It's
See,
like
I wasn't. For some reason, I'm thinking building and construction and pricing and older people. You know, I was totally off in the South Carolina. I wasn't seeing the spirit walk as something that could be put a lot of places, but especially in LA.
well,
So
it's what the opportunity that I see is because, and here again, Les is brilliant enough to make the connection between William Seymour, Worldwide Religion, Barack Obama, a president that brought together different races, Tom Bradley, a mayor that brought together different races in LA. The Spirit Walk is addressing a global concept where we get people in one area. It's almost like a Disneyland for the mind and the heart. It is a brick and mortar facility. It's like a museum.
like the African American
Yeah.
museum down there, but yeah, that's what I thought about when I saw you look at these pictures again.
Mm-hmm.
It made more sense. All right.
Yeah, and the opportunity for us is we have standing and clout in the different different communities where we live. And because we have standing in terms of people that are sincerely interested in helping to make a change, we can help provide the local mayor, governor, religious leader, if they're really progressive, to create a new movement, thought, reason for people to work together. And one of the things that Les told me is that us visionaries are about 17 years ahead of our time. Isn't that what you told me, Les?
I don't know. That was sort of that as an urban planner, we kind of look at things 20 years in advance. You know, when we plan the city of Los Angeles, because I've been involved with, you know, as a city planner and a planning commissioner under Mayor Reardon and airport commission under Tom Bradley. So because I've been involved with the policy side and looking at the city, you know, we can predict in terms of the congestion that the city will have, and we need the transportation system developed, and all of those things that we kind of look at in terms of opportunity, business, and technology that's going to transition, like solar energy and electric cars that I've been involved with, and things like that that we've been involved with. You know, it's always very difficult to get the community to buy into it, like, you know, even the transit system, until Tom Bradley became the mayor. You know, we didn't have the red line kind of thing going. We had a lot of street kind of projects, but we need a rapid transit system, and that was created. But that had a long time of planning, and it's very difficult for the general public to really understand what we're talking about in terms of the smog and, you know, pollution and all the kind of stuff, and that we had to create this more transportation system, but you need financing. So looking at it from an urban planner, we look at 20 years advance. And like today, some of the things that I wrote about is the workerless society, where you have workless society because of the changes that are going on. And with the COVID issue now, things are changing very rapidly in terms of the future of jobs. And we got to look at it in terms of what we're going to be faced with in terms of what is happening. So I've written a lot of articles about vertical gardens. You know, the future of health and wellness is, you know, in the vertical garden kind of stuff. So that's aside from all of those things that I've been writing about. So, but I see the future in terms of, I have my grandkids, you know, they're 16 years old. When I think about the future, it's really very difficult to determine what the future is about. And I think this is something that I feel that this would be something that we really look at how the kids are going to be involved in the workplace, and what kind of business are they going to get into. Like, even, I mean, with 30,000 employee, you know, people unemployed, it's going to be very difficult to deal with. So,
Unless
those things are sort of on the side that I'm bringing about, but those are things that I'm concerned about in terms of, you know.
let me interrupt you. That's another reason why the Spirit Walk project is so important, because we're seeking to impact people's minds, their imaginations, and let them know that if we don't have the Spirit Walk project is an opportunity to excite folks about the future, to get them to open up their heart and their mind, and allow NICE as an organization to work with leaders so we can start preparing a future for our grandkids and their grandkids.
Right.
That's, this is big. This is no, let's open up a CDC shop on the corner or do some affordable housing. Me helping folks build affordable housing that doesn't have a spiritual component to it to help our grandchildren's grandchildren have a future, that doesn't excite me. So I'm gonna ask Miss Kiana, do you have any questions? Because you're one of the technical geniuses on the line right now. What questions are circulating in your head for Les?
I mean, I love the idea. I'm just thinking what's next in terms of execution. I understand that we need to kind of get buy-in from the political people, mayors, governors, and all that. But like, what does that entail for NICE?
The next part is to put together a presentation that is tailored for each city. The PowerPoint presentation that Les put together was tailored for the city of Los Angeles. But we need to put together a presentation, say, for the mayor of Seattle, Washington, and let the mayor of Seattle, Washington know that what NICE is doing is right in line with some of the projects they have there. I have some history in Seattle. We can bring that up, but also projects like Neighborhood House. So it's tailoring different approaches to different leaders. Great question you ask. And that's where having board members come to the table, just like before we have a proposal for the mayor of Compton, I'm going to ask for Elaine and William to share some thoughts in terms of what Spirit Walk means to them. We talked about Seattle. There's ways to make this so powerful for the local elected leaders. They'll say, yes, NICE, here's some money so you can enable your board and you can hire some consultants and you can get some renderings put together. So the next step is for us to put together a PowerPoint presentation with the deliverables. Does that answer your question?
It does. It kind of like, it sounds like a very grand plan, right? Do we have like strategies to kind of like start somewhere? You mentioned Seattle and you mentioned Compton, but do we have like connections that we want to move forward with?
Great question. Great question. Right now, the mayor of Aiken, South Carolina, and the city manager of Aiken, South Carolina are excited about the Spirit Walk project. I'm pursuing a contract for NICE for that part of South Carolina. A week ago, yesterday, I had a meeting with the chancellor, Sandra Jordan of University of South Carolina. She's excited about the Spirit Walk project. So I'm working for us to have proposals to bring in revenues. So all the board members can add a little something. We can create some revenue streams so we can have stipend for board members, for us to really have some financial resources so we can operate in earnest. And that's where the concept connects with the opportunity, and the linkage is getting the funding. Also, let's turn me on to the EDA, Economic Development Administration. And as a matter of fact, I'm gonna send out the information where the city manager of Aiken, South Carolina is interested in NICE doing an EDA planning and technical assistance consulting project. And that's going to be some more revenue for NICE for us to, and that EDA funding opportunity can be matched with other federal opportunities, both in South Carolina, California, Washington. So yes, we have some tangible action plans that are in place.
Right. Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Lynette had a board meeting that she had to break away with, so she, maybe her meeting, she's asking to be admitted.
Still politician.
Okay. Elaine, did you have any
Yes,
questions?
I did. I want to know, what is it that NICE has to offer these various politicians in order for them to come on board?
Great question. Because of Les Hamasaki, James Davis knows about the EDA, which is Economic Development Administration. They give millions of dollars to cities for brick and mortar type of projects that teach folks job skills to create new green jobs. The EDA official for the big EDA funding entity in Los Angeles is under Wilfred Marshall and Leonard Mitchell at University of Southern California, of which Kiana is a distinguished alumni. USC, Leonard Mitchell was the college professor for Compton Mayor Elijah Brown. And the direct linkage between the Spirit Walk, EDA, Money for Compton, and having Compton Mayor Elijah Brown being the one that can say, this is a project that I'm working with the City Council of Compton and the nonprofit NICE. You know, we have to structure that funding model before we say anything to anybody. And the reason why I'm asking that we at a later date consider Leon Youngblood, he knows Compton Mayor Brown. So we have to get all these pieces in place. And then when we get to the point where we're going to have a meeting with the mayor, which nowadays is going to be on Zoom, this gives an opportunity for NICE board member Elaine Moore, NICE board member William Berry, and other folks, NICE board member Kiana, who's an alumni of USC. It allows us to be at the table and say, yes, this project reflects who I am personally. It reflects my cultural identity and strengths. And we know that this will be a win-win for the city of Compton. And we may ask for a planning grant for 12 months. It may take us 12 months to hire the other folks to actually do the work. The board's going to be doing some work, but it starts with the vision. And that's why Les is a blessing to us all. Did I answer your question, Elaine?
Yeah, sort of, kind of.
I got about a C plus, maybe?
Yes.
Any other questions? This is the real deal. I mean, when I was little, I was a big fan of Disneyland. And I can remember going to Disneyland and meeting Walt Disney, and I thought I was a little guy. And then I worked at Disneyland. Imagineering is how Walt Disney brought Disneyland to the table. Now that was just all entertainment. What Les is visualizing is how we create an edifice, a brick and mortar facility where people come in and they could do virtual reality. They can be impressed by leaders in the past. And it's a way to excite human beings about utilizing their spiritual power. Somebody's got to do it, because we can't stay on the track that we're on right now. And I've talked to probably 4 different mayors, and there's not a politician yet who thinks this is not. Everybody who I've talked to says this is great, we need it. They're waiting to figure out how to get engaged?
I think one of the things that for the, at least it's really a job creation problem. And with the coronavirus program, they're looking for creating jobs. I mean, we have 30 million people unemployed, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be unemployed for many, many years to come. Yeah, and so that was a critical thing that at least Wilfred Marshall has been really emphasizing, is that we need to create jobs, create opportunity. And when you look at the virtual reality kind of stuff, it's for the young kids to develop that technology, you know, about the future. And that's jobs for the future. If people know that these are things that are going to be there and they can train into the area, it's employment opportunity. The future, when you look at virtual reality and augmented reality, all that kind of stuff, are things that are coming to the future. And so when you look at putting something, you know, it's you know, that kind of thing in involvement, it's look at from my side, it's job creation for people to do all that sculpture things and so forth, design that whatever, and all the technology that goes into it is really the future for the young people to become involved with. And if we can employ people to be, you know, the artists need jobs. And, you know, I'm sure there are artists there that can do all that stuff, or at least create that kind of thing. And so you're bringing a lot of people together to do a project that is for the world, for the, you know, it's not for the African Americans, it's really for the others that can really understand the future of and the accomplishment kind of stuff. So that's what I'm looking at, the job creation. And you need something that looks tangible from the like EDA and all this kind of. So I think there's a lot of money there that somebody has to pull it together. You know, the thing that I prepared was just a sort of a concept. That's about it. But there's a lot of research to educate our people that knows all of these African American background and so forth, and why it was important, and do a history on that. So it's not just looking at stuff; it's job creation from my point of view. So we have to promote it as a job creation for African American young people and older people to come up with a project and build something. You know.
Okay. Well, part of my explanation of the job creation is there's two parts. There's soft skill, which is educational, attitudinal. We got to teach folks why they need to wake up on time, take a bath, and get to work on time with a smile on their face. So that's the soft skill. Then it's the hard skill, which is the technical piece. And without a reason to inspire folks to try something new, you never get to soft skill or hard skill. Another area where Les is a subject matter expert is when it comes to alternative health wellness programs that includes hemp. And one of the modalities nowadays is hempcrete. And we have a distinguished engineer on the NICE board. I mean, we have so much talent in Kiana. So I can see how when we talk about creating jobs, using EDA, using new modalities for design, engineering, and construction, and we talk about hempcrete, between Les and Kiana, there's a whole line item in the funding proposal right there. Kiana, do you think I'm overstating that opportunity?
I'm not sure. You're you're definitely overstating my challenge, but I believe in nice. I just probably don't believe as much in people who are in charge. So hopefully we can get this idea out there.
Okay, okay. Well, I tell you, Les has the technology. But I share your reservation about people because that's the big variable. And I think that unless we can get to their heart, we won't be able to persuade them. And if Les at 81 is still creating and kicking, I'm gonna use him as my exhibit 1 of evidence of there's hope. Well, are there any other questions? We've gone over our hour, and Les, was there any, I don't wanna.
No, I'm fine. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share some of these things. And hopefully there's some, things that can be made out of, some of the concepts that I have. So I'm willing to help in whatever way I can. But
Well, you already have, you're a board member, you're part of our board family. If there aren't any other questions, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn. Are there any other questions though, before we entertain the adjournment motion?
No.
Is there a motion that we adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Okay, so Les made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So Kiana did the second. Okay, well, thank you all very, very much. I'm gonna send you background information on all of this. I know this is a lot to chew on at one meal, but this has been great, and thank you all.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you, everybody.
Everyone.
Good job, Les.
Bye.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Thank you.